So I was recently reading through a graphic novel that I have that collects some of the 1970s What If series from Marvel Comics. And for those of you who are not aware, What If is basically a what if this happened, what if that happened. Usually it examines a specific event that had already happened in Marvel Comics and it changes the outcome of that event, and then it examines how the rest of the Marvel Universe would have been changed because of the outcome being different. But I was looking at some of the older issues of What If, and I was realizing some of them, while at the time they may have seemed really different and innovative, and so different and innovative that they could not be part of the main Marvel Universe. In fact, later on, these stories kinda were brought into the main Marvel Universe. For example, what if the Hulk had Bruce Banner's brain? Well, this was a major part of Peter David's run on the Hulk, where the Hulk was not this lumbering thing, he actually had intellect. What if the Hulk had become a barbarian? This was pretty much the Planet Hulk storyline by Greg Pak. What if Ghost Rider was separated from Johnny Blaze? Throughout most of the 1990s, Johnny Blaze was just an average ordinary dude, and the Ghost Rider was Danny Ketch. What if Spider-Man's clone had lived? This was, again, a major part of the 1990s. The Clone Saga is pretty infamously known by comic book fans, and a major part of that is that Spider-Man's clone did not die in the 1970s like everyone was led to believe. What if the Beast continued to mutate? This was a major part of the beginning of Brian Michael Bendis' run on All New X-Men, where the Beast kind of further evolved, and this was after a time in the early 2000s where Beast had further evolved for the first time, so this is definitely not a new thing for the Beast. So when I was looking at these that had already actually happened in the main Marvel Universe, I was thinking, are there any other what-if stories that I would like to see be done as actual Marvel Universe stories? And a few of these could actually be done in the main Marvel Universe. And then a couple of them, instead of actually being part of the main Marvel Universe, I think they would be better served if they were their own miniseries. Some of these were done as a one-issue thing, and I think they could have been expanded to be a 6-issue miniseries. So, number 1. Conan the Barbarian in the present day. This was tackled in at least 2 issues of What If, issue 13 and issue 43 of the first series. I would read an ongoing What If Conan the Barbarian existed in the present day, and I think it could be awesome. And there are 2 ways that you could handle this. The first way, if you wanted this to just be a Conan story, Conan could exist in the past, he's a barbarian like we know him to be, and then somehow he is teleported to the present day, kinda like Samurai Jack, and then all of his supporting characters that we know who exist in the days of the Hyborian Age, they could somehow exist in the present day in modern day form. And so Conan would be the only anachronism, and he would see all of these people and he would say, hang on a second, that's Kulan Gath, I recognize that guy. But instead of Kulan Gath being a sorcerer, he might be the CEO of his own company. That would be one way that you could handle it. Or, since at the time that these comic books came out, Marvel Comics had the license to do Conan stories, you could say that Conan comes to the present day in the Marvel Universe, and then every issue he fights someone in the Marvel Universe, like the Rhino or Kraven the Hunter. Both of these ways would be really interesting, but since Marvel Comics does not have the license to do Conan stories now, I definitely don't think that the second option could ever happen. In fact, I'm fairly certain that the first option could not happen either. But at the same time, I would love to see Dark Horse Comics attempt to do this. Just say this is a story that exists simultaneously with our other Conan story set in the distant, distant past. I think that would be really awesome, and I would definitely buy that series. The next one, what if Captain America led an army of super soldiers? This was done in the second What If series in issue 28. And I think actually this one could be done one of 2 ways. The first way would be, say that Dr. Erskine from World War II, say that he never got killed and he just made an army of super soldiers, and then the Marvel Universe itself would vastly change. Or you could do this as a modern day story. You could say, with all of the super soldiers that we have running around, like Captain America and Bucky, he's basically a super soldier. With Luke Cage, he's basically a super soldier. You could just say that some scientist cracks the super soldier code and is able to reinvent the super soldier serum, and then you could have Captain America lead a team of super soldiers in the present day. And this could be a very long-running storyline. This could even be the permanent status quo for Captain America for a long time to come. Really, I think both ways would work. Naturally, if you were going to do a what if this happened in the 1940s, that would only work as a miniseries. I don't really think that that could work as an ongoing that is separated from the rest of the Marvel Universe. So I would personally rather see this as an ongoing thing in the present day Marvel Universe. Next, what if the Punisher became an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.? This was done in the second What If series, issue 57. I know in the 2099 universe, Jake Gallows, the Punisher of the year 2099, he was for a brief period of time an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. in the future. I personally would like to see Frank Castle be an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a little while. I know every Punisher fan under the sun would hate this because all Punisher fans hate any change to the status quo of the Punisher. So, how would this be done? Basically, I would say you've got some really dangerous villain out there, and for some reason Nick Fury says, okay, we're going to need to bring in someone who thinks like this guy. So they bring in Frank Castle, and for 2 or 3 arcs, Frank Castle is part of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then something happens, Frank does something that is not mandated by S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. did not order him to do this, but he does it anyway, and then he's on the run, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is like, okay, we are cutting our ties from this guy. We were never involved with him. I think this could very easily work in the Marvel Universe. This next one and the one after it are both ones that really could not work in the present day Marvel Universe. The next one is, what if Legion had killed Magneto? This was in the second What If series, issue 77. For those of you who have not been keeping up with this channel for a very long time, I somewhat recently, over the last half year, reviewed the Age of Apocalypse stuff from the mid-1990s in the X-Men comic books, and that whole event was built on the idea that Legion went back in time to kill Magneto so that his father, Charles Xavier, could actually have his dream of peaceful coexistence between mutants and humans. He goes back in time, he tries to kill Magneto, but Professor Xavier gets in the way, and this spawns a very dark age for the Marvel Universe, where Charles Xavier was never able to put forth his best effort to try and save mutant kind's relation with humankind. So, this idea, what if Legion had actually succeeded in killing Magneto? I think this would have been a really excellent idea for a mini-series. Basically something that you could do to say, what if the Age of Apocalypse was entirely different? What if, for some reason, Magneto is also important to the Marvel Universe? What if eliminating Magneto before he becomes Magneto has just as drastic consequences as if you eliminate Charles Xavier at this point? I think this would be a very interesting idea for a mini-series, but like I said, this is not one that would be able to work in an ongoing sense in the Marvel Universe, especially since they've already done the Age of Apocalypse and it's been like 15 years since that story even happened. And the last one that I would like to see explored in some way, what if Shard had lived instead of Bishop? This was done in the second What If series, issue 84. For those of you who do not read the X-Men comics, there's Bishop, who is from roughly 80 years in the future. He had a younger sister who was also part of the XSE. The XSE was Xavier's security enforcers. Bishop was part of it, and so was his younger sister. She died at some point on the job, and then after Bishop came back in time and joined the X-Men in the present day, Forge was able to help create a holographic representation of Shard, and she was able to communicate with Bishop. And then at some point she joined X-Factor in the late 1990s, and then I'm assuming that she died. We haven't seen her since I've been reading comics for almost 15 years, so I'm assuming that she did die. This one would have been interesting to see as a mini-series after Messiah Complex. For those of you who have not read Messiah Complex, this is a pretty big spoiler, but that story ends with the revelation that Bishop wants to kill a baby. He believes that this baby is going to create the future that he came from, where mutants are kept in concentration camps, and he wants to kill this baby so that that does not happen. I think a very interesting thing to see would be if Bishop is not in this timeline and Shard is in this timeline, Shard probably wouldn't want to kill the baby, so would Cyclops want to send Cable to the future with the baby? This would drastically change the X-Men comics as we know them today. In fact, the X-Men probably wouldn't be split up like they are right now. You probably wouldn't have half of the X-Men as outlaws and the other half as more of a good guy team. You probably wouldn't have any of that going on with the X-Men if Shard had lived instead of Bishop. I definitely think this would have been another very interesting thing to see as a miniseries, but it would not work in the current day Marvel Universe. It's one of those things that simply would not have worked. And those are the top 5 what-if stories that I would like to see explored in one way or another, either in the present-day Marvel Universe or as a mini-series where we get to see the idea kind of expanded a little bit. What do you guys think? Do you agree with my choices? Do you have any other choices that you would like to have seen be expanded in some way? Let me know in the comments below, and if you like this video, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a different kind of video. So, until then, I'll see you guys later. Have a great day.